Frozen, heavy I feel, hopeless, bones made of steel, weighted down by the world on my back, wondering if Atlas ever asks for help on a broken, scattered I feel, motion, mouse on a wheel, going nowhere on a loop like a track, got me wondering why I never ask for help, oh no. I'm treading cause I know I'm drowning. I'm sure it's cause I'm not allowing myself to feel the things surrounding. And I'm scared because I taste the ocean. Could that be what they call emotion?
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Welcome, welcome. Oh, so beautiful to see you both on here. Hi, Ash. Welcome. Good morning to you too, Mike.
Good morning.
You know, I just got so inspired this morning. I watched this video by David Hoffmeister, who's been such a pivotal and vital teacher on my path, and specifically on, you know, present trust and miracles. And I just feel so like it's stirring so much in me. And I asked Jesus to guide me to a part in the book where we could go deeper into what that really means. And I think going into the miracle mind is a great start into, you know, getting a little clearer on the miracle. And I know that we touch on this in different classes and different meetups. And you know what? Let me do something before I forget. I'm going to introduce myself. I know you guys know who I am, but this gets recorded. And sometimes if it feels right and I feel guided to, I can share it. So, and I got to get better at this. Okay. So I literally put a little post-it so I could remember. Because at the end of the day, I want this space to be about us, right? It's really not about me, but I'm happy to host it and make the space available. And I feel definitely the call to, you know, show up like this for my own mind, right? And then have you join me. So I thank you. And so here goes. Okay, I'm Stefania. Of course, you can call me Steph, and this is the Miracle Mind Meetup. We meet every Wednesday online at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So you're welcome to join us. This is powered by Awakenpedia. So to get more information, if you want to join us, go deeper into the course, share what's on your heart, and join with other, you know, mighty companions on this path of awakening, of discovering who we truly are. You can find out at awakenpedia.com, or, you know, reach out to me at spiritledsteph.com on any of my socials. And yeah, you can join us. So, okay. So we can get started. And yes, this idea of the miracle and how it really is directly connected to present trust and guidance. you know? And so Jesus led me to this part at the very, very beginning, right? In the principles for miracles. But specifically, my eyes landed on number 15. So if you have your book, right? If you have your book, you can bring it out, but I can also bring it on the screen. And yeah, I'd love to go into this a little bit today and see, what it stirs up in us and what comes to heart so that we can share and join in this way. Let me share the screen so we can look at this together. Here we are. Okay. And so here we have number 15. I'll go ahead and read, and then, I feel called to read from 15 to 21, right? And let's take these in, because I think that this is really helpful in understanding a little more about what the actual miracle is and how they play a role in the present moment, trust and guidance that spirit is moving, and unfolding for us day to day. So, okay, number 15. Each day should be devoted to miracles. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. It is thus a teaching device and a means to an end. Time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. 16. Miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it is as blessed to give as to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. 17. Miracles transcend the body. They are sudden shifts into invisibility away from the bodily level, and that is why they heal. Beautiful. 18. A miracle is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. You recognize your own and your neighbor's worth simultaneously. 19. Miracles make minds one in God. They depend on cooperation because the sonship is the sum of all that God created. Miracles, therefore, reflect the laws of eternity, not of time. 20. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. And 21. Miracles are natural signs of forgiveness. Through miracles, you accept God's forgiveness by extending it to others. I'm just going to copy these and put them into the chat so that we can see each other and then reference to them. I'm going to stop the share. Oh, it's telling me it's too much information to share. Overload on miracles. Okay, hold on. I have to share it twice. There you go. Split it. Hmm. I want to look at this the first and second one, each day should be devoted to miracles. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively, right? So like time is not the enemy. We are in time. We believe we're in this dream, right? We've created this experience. We're here because we need the learning, or rather unlearning, right? The unwinding of the mind to back to the truth. And yet, and we know that, we understand that time isn't real, that eternity is real, and that's reality. And yet we are in time. And it's telling us here, right? Jesus is telling us the purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. So it's like this translation, this new use, repurposing of time in our favor, in the favor of God's love, of awakening, of getting to know who we really are, and, unraveling everything else that's blocked us to that knowing. And so it is thus a teaching device and a means to an end, right? So doesn't have to be sort of, I think we can theoretically, as core students, get caught up in like, yeah, well, time's not real. And then we kind of just like, and the truth is that ultimately, yeah, it's not. And we're here we're having an experience of time, right? Through our beliefs. And so the catch is, if we give it over to the Spirit, right? For Jesus to lead it, the use of time is now repurposed. It now becomes a medium for awakening. It now becomes a tool. Every day becomes an opportunity to be used to awaken, to be used to remember who I am, to be used to share the miracle, right? Which starts here. And so time will cease, right? It is thus the teaching device. Oh yeah, and a means to an end. Time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning, right? This is the space for learning. This is the school, folks, right? We're in dream school, and we're figuring it out, and we're doing it together. So yeah, this is beautiful. And I think this is important to remember, the use of time, and literally how Spirit can use all things, anything, right? I mean, look at this class I just started off of the whim of my heart, because I did it by myself. And now I'm offering the possibility for others to join me in worship yoga, right? Two seemingly separate practices. And ultimately, Jesus and the Spirit can use anything, right? They can use worship from the Christian practice, and they can use yoga from the yogic Indian practice, and still open our hearts. And they can put it together, right? And let you release concepts. And it's just like, in the end, it's all about what we're opening up to in the mind, right? The invitation is in the mind. It's not whether worship yoga, is works out or not, or ends up being something or not. It's not about that. And I use that example because it's very present right now, right? It's really about just, who am I? What thoughts am I allowing when I step into and I follow the trust, this present trust, right? When I hand over this nudge, this excitement, and I serve from that place, who am I becoming or unbecoming, right? What am I connecting with? And also all the things that come up in my mind as I say yes to something like that, all the doubts, all the imposter syndrome, all the just, I don't know, comparison, things that will come up because the ego loves to latch on to anything new and unknown. And so the opportunity is really to heal the mind. That's the deeper opportunity, and to join with brothers and sisters in a new way, to join in recognizing God's love and the love that in the Christ that we have within. So yeah, just it's an example of how we can take it back to what really matters. The purpose is not the thing. The purpose is what is going on in my mind about the thing, right? And how can I serve? How can I just follow? Yeah. And then the next one, miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it is as blessed to give as to receive. And then miracles transcend the body. This is big. Miracles transcend the body because what it's saying is that miracles happen at a level, a mind level. It is not happening at a body level. It can, the effects, right? Not the cause, the effects can seem to happen at a body level. Things can show and reflect the state of mind, the healing in the mind. I would say a miracle is like like a glimpse of healing, right? Like you've accessed, boom, complete atonement because you've decided to see yourself as whole and your brother as whole as they are. You've seen in this moment, the body falls away from your human eyes. You just see the light of Christ. And as you see the light of Christ, you feel you are the light of Christ. Only the light of Christ can recognize itself, right? You no longer are a body. You're not Steph. You're not Ashley. You're not Mike. You're just the light. And you see your brother as that. And you're just, and it's just beautiful. Please feel free if you have anything that comes to heart, to share. Yeah, miracles transcend the body. And I just felt like, this is so interesting to really put emphasis on, because we get caught up in the idea of miracles. It's been so ingrained into us that the miracle is something outside of us that happens. But miracle is something that happens inside of us. And then the spirit accesses everything like in the universe, right? Everything that our mind has created and uses it to bless that which is in front of us, to bless us, and it becomes a blessing for all. It becomes an excuse for unity. It's just, and it is a service. 18 says it right here, right? It transcends the body. 17, 18. A miracle is a service. It is the maximal service. I almost started crying when I read this. It is the maximal service you can render to another. That is a miracle. The maximal service you can render to another. And what is the maximal service we can render another? Right? What is that?
Releasing them from the past.
Yes, yes. Seeing the Christ they are now, because we can't see the Christ in the past. That's it, Mike.
I just love it. I think, is it Eisenhower? Oh, Einstein. Either everything is a miracle or everything isn't a miracle. And so like I feel like that's really what I've been leaning deeper into, because like you said, Steph, we've been taught like an ego illusionary level of miracles, right? Like there's movies out there of the boy that all of a sudden could walk, and even the signs and wonders that Jesus brought. And I was reading a part of the course the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's always said it in here that Jesus shares with us. He says, your generation, I'm not going to quote this, but essentially this generation, I cannot bring signs and wonders because they believe too much in magic. It will just reiterate the belief in magic. So it's really the deepening of going in to realize the miracles within, because the past generation, of the signs and wonders that's already been presented. But so that, I think that's what I've been leaning deeper into, is like relinquishing the stories I have around miracles and just really allowing every single thing I see to be the miracle. And it may be as simple as, one was like, when we were in a remote island and I was like, get me off this place, it's awful, I hate every moment of it, in our travel, we walk into the store, mind you, it's on the other side of the world. We
Mhm.
walk into the store and this guy that lives there has a Minnesota t-shirt on, like the quintessential Minnesota t-shirt that everybody in the state of Minnesota owns. And that's where I grew up. And to me, it was a reminder of the miracle. It was a reminder of like, you are here now, and this is exactly where you're meant to be. And again, it was at the level of form. It was an effect that first happened at the level of mind, but it was the miracle. And I was open to seeing it as the miracle. I could have completely missed that. I could have been like, oh yeah, probably someone donated shirts here. I could have made some ego level explanation, but instead I saw it as like this spirit, Christ, light, being like, here I am, you're safe, you're held, you're where you're supposed to be. I know it sucks, but I've got you.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Your home, right? Like Minnesota is what you associate with home, at least for us, for a good amount of your life. And so, yeah, what a beautiful interpretation. And that's looking at it with the eyes of the spirit. And that is the change in mind. That is the quick miracle that just kind of like, oh, right, this is where I am. This is all for me. And I'm where I need to be. It changes everything. Because it also brings this sense of acceptance, right? Of whatever is in this moment. There's like, okay, I've been resisting. And that's the thing about the miracle, it doesn't have to come right when the discussion starts, when the thing starts, when it can come when we allow it to. That's it. Like we can be full-fledged in a discussion, a heated discussion, in an ego-based, right, conversation. And we can, the spirit can drop through into the mind and be like, remember who you are, remember who your brother is. And it's like in an instant, if you are open and willing to receive that, like Ash, you saw it, out, in a shirt, the message was there. It changes everything. You've received the miracle, and by receiving it, you give it, it's just one and the same. So beautiful. And it will change that discussion completely because you've changed, because the miracle in your mind has, it's like it's fallen, it's landed. That's the word I'm looking. It's landed. It's like, boom. Oh, here it is. Oh, right. This is the whole point. This is me. And that is the maximal service you can render to another. And that's why also the connection with Jesus is an example of, he's that, that bridge, that symbol. And we've been talking about Jesus in the last couple of meetups, and he in one part, he says, I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately. And I'm going to get to that part because I am the atonement, and you have a role in the atonement. And our role are these miracles, right? Because we're here, we have this role. And yeah, it's just beautiful. Maybe, should we just go to that? I'm feeling maybe we should just go to that part. And that's on page 9, our Atonement and Miracles, chapter 1. I mean, this is right after these principles of miracles. And I'll share it so we can look at it together. So that's this one. And then Atonement and Miracles. Yeah, if anybody feels to, you guys are seeing it, right? Okay. I mean, if you have the book, then that's even, of course, you're seeing it. Yeah. So, yeah, would anybody like to read Atonement and Miracles?
Sure, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
I am in charge of the process of atonement, which I undertook to begin When you offer a miracle to any of my brothers, you do it to yourself and me. The reason you come before me is that I do not need miracles for my own atonement, but I stand at the end in case you fail temporarily. My part in the atonement is the canceling out of all errors that you could not otherwise correct. When you have been restored to the recognition of your original state, you naturally become part of the atonement yourself. As you share my unwillingness to accept error in yourself and others, you must join the great crusade to correct it.
Mm.
Listen to my voice. Learn to undo error and act to correct it. The power to work miracles belongs to you. I will provide the opportunities to do them, but you must be ready and willing. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability, because conviction comes through accomplishment. The ability is the potential. The achievement is the expression, and the atonement, which is the natural profession of the children of God, is the purpose.
Beautiful. I want to come to this one part. Where is it? This is what Ash was just speaking about. When you have been restored to the recognition of your original state, which is what you did in the moment that you saw that shirt, you naturally become part of the atonement yourself. You accept it in that moment. Okay, this is for me. I'm where I need to be. And you are no longer, let's say that was the first step in releasing resistance so that you could accept where you were, right? And I love this next line: as you share my unwillingness to accept error in yourself, unwillingness to accept error in yourself and others, you must join the great crusade to correct it. It's just what's going to happen. Like, you're part of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen to my voice, right? The voice of Jesus, the voice of the Spirit, and learn to undo error and act to correct it. This is our power. The power to work miracles belongs to you. And this is why it's called A Course in Miracles, right? We're talking about this being, I'm just going to copy this part. We're talking about this being a school, right? This is a learning space where we are, right? We're using time to undo our understanding of time, our original, to undo the past, like Mike says, right? Which is to forgive it, to release it, to know, to not give it, to accept the present, to accept what's here in its pristine, clean, slated, offering that's always given to us again and again. And it's saying here, this is where I want to bring this connection. This is called, all right, it's called A Course in Miracles, right? Like a course, like a course that we're taking, right? This is the School of Miracles, basically, in a sense. Like, the reason it's called A Course in Miracles is because we need a lot of miracles to gain the conviction. We need consistent reminders along our path that we are guided, right? We need that to really begin to release the belief in the ego and to truly rest in the belief of the Spirit, in the eyes and the vision of the Spirit of love, more and more. And so I love that, because it's saying here, right, towards the middle, yeah, I will provide the opportunities to do them, right, the miracles, but you must be ready and willing. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability, because conviction comes through accomplishment. And so doing them, right, so accepting to do them, listening, heeding the call, and doing the miracle. And what is doing the miracle, right? Like, doing them. Are we actually doing stuff. Like, what do you guys feel that means here? To do the miracle, right?
It just means like another word for it is seeing the face of Christ. That's it.
Right? Ultimately, doing the miracle is not much of doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more of, seeing anew, right? Seeing this moment
Right.
as it is. Um,
Well,
and then, yeah, go ahead, Ash.
well, I mean, this is super early in the course, and Jesus shares with us, like, I must speak to you as babies, right? So, in the language you understand. So, if, if you've never been exposed to the course or the concepts or began the unwinding and it said something else of like me do nothing, just sit there and be the vessel, like people are gonna be like, yeah, no, this book isn't for like this isn't the world we live in today, like it's all, so I feel like it was one of those words that I agree, Mike, that's what it truly means behind it, but it was one of those words like Jesus needed to use in order to be able to communicate at the level that people are at when they come to the course.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's meeting us where we are in mind, right? Like at
Yeah.
whatever consciousness level. And doing is a big part of our mind
Yeah, like that's
understanding
all
of
we
those.
do is do.
So yeah, and I don't and I yeah, it's like honestly, that's what's interesting about language. Language limits us. Jesus is actually, he's not limited in any way of what reaching it, but using the language that we have, it itself limits the meanings, because also we all have interpretations of certain words and certain meanings depending on how we grew up. So, but he was aware of this. And so absolutely, like he's meeting everyone where they are. And you know what? It's also okay to believe, okay, I'm doing the miracle and I'm doing something good. That's okay, because at the end of the day, that's where you're at. And if you're willing, that's all the spirit needs, because it's going to meet you where you're at, even in the quote unquote doing and the undoing of that belief over time, because we're all at whatever chapter we are in our script, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but it's helpful, of course, to understand that ultimately it is what's allowing the true doing is the level, the state of mind that we're choosing in the moment, right? That
Yeah.
openness and
Because it's being done through us. Like that's the doing is like it's
love that.
not Ashley
Mm,
doing, it's Ashley is the vessel for Christ to do
that's
through.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that feeling. I don't know about you guys, but like and it's so weird because I know I've entered back into the ego because I'm now judging and reflecting. But those moments that I do enter back in after like just days of merit, like lately that's what I felt like. There's just been days and days on end of like seeing everything, even like in meeting you, Steph, and where
Mm,
you plan to move to, and it being my favorite place that I like to go to Shark's Teeth, and we were planning to like like you start to see you're like this script was really written for me. Like this is all like I can't make this stuff up. But then when you like
mm,
have that moment where you enter back to the ego briefly to reflect, and you're just like, oh, like you can see you can feel the ego's overwhelmness and how it like the fear comes in, but it's just so gentle as you progress, like it talks the gentle awakening. Um, and I know if I would have had days of miracles at the beginning of like witnessing them, I would have been like, whoa, like what's going on? This is way too much. So I don't know that I just felt called to share that, but it's just like this, I don't know,
it's true. And
just
there
this
is this part
deepening.
that it says in the course that they don't give us more, the spirit doesn't give us more than we can handle, because we would it would be cause for fear, and the spirit's not there to cause fear. So that's why the gentleness is so important. um and yeah, it makes me think, because we say gentleness, and then of course we have certain life experiences that don't feel gentle at all.
Right.
But that is why learning about the split mind is so valuable, because even though the split mind has one split that ultimately truly is an illusion and doesn't exist, the reason we're here is because we're still holding on to patterns or beliefs or something that the ego, right, has imprinted in the mind, right? Whatever it might be. And that's what we're here to release. And so it's so helpful to know that there's anything that happens in our life can be seen one way or another. Like, we are choosing to see it through certain lenses. And what's that line, Mike, that Bill always says in our group here? He says, like, I am trying to remember, and it's a line in the course that says, like, you know, like nothing is actually I'm definitely not doing the job of nothing is actually something to this, so the sense of like nothing is actually bad, but in the only in the ego's interpretation, right? Or there's a line that speaks to that, and he always says it, except in the ego's interpretation or something like this.
Yeah, no, that's not from the course. That's a quotation from somebody. Something like, nothing is good or bad, but thought makes it so. Something like that. That's not from the course. It's a quotation from somebody that I've heard before too. Yeah.
Okay. Then I might be thinking of a different one, but anyhow,
But
it's
I think
yeah.
essentially, I mean, the course alludes that because it's our stories. That's why, like, something can happen to you, Steph, and happen to me, the same exact thing, and me view it as like a blessing, beautiful thing, and you view it as like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. And I think like the dog bite situation that we had is such a representation of what we're speaking of like the ability to see it with Christ's eyes. It completely removes all stories, and it because it wasn't even like the dog bite was good. I say it was a blessing, not in a ego, oh, a blessing, but it was a
Right.
blessing. It was just it just was. And then all these miracle connections unfolded afterwards, and not because it was the belief in the fear that the potential of being bit by a dog held. It was what it was covering up, and the allowing Christ to just guide us through that is what removed the barriers to the miracles that were underneath. Like, we thought that we allowed the story of the dog bite to be a barrier, and we handed it over and allowed it to be used as the miracle it truly was. And I think that's a thing too, of like, a lot of people believe miracles are these happy things based on stories, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not happy, it's our interpretation of them. And it's like that true trust and surrender of a prayer that I've been saying a lot lately. And of course, it's not exactly as it is in the course, because that's too wordy for me to remember. But essentially, when I don't feel joy, or I find myself judging, handing it over to be judged and used, right? Like, I think we're so often taught to hand things over because we don't want them anymore, right? So like, I hand it over, get rid of it. Like, don't get rid of this fear. But it's like that, like, true surrender is like, no, it might stay. It might stay, but you're trusting that's a part of the script, and you're allowing and then it's like this freedom within. The fear might still be lingering, the discomfort, right? I think that's a big piece too, is it's spirit will never create fear or provoke fear because it knows it will go further into the ego. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel a lot of discomfort, right? And those are your stories, and those are your stories being freed in the process. So yeah,
You know,
I mean, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
the ego, I mean, the Course in one place says, what the ego made to harm, the Holy Spirit can use to heal. Now, one body attacking another body, like a dog biting a human, it's an ego expression. It's an attack on somebody who's not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the ego made to harm. But the Holy Spirit can use it to heal by a change of perception.
Yeah, and I love what you said, Ash, to distinguish that, like, handing over, how it could even, like, even the handing over can become like an egoic thing. Because
Yeah.
the ego could just latch on to literally any part of the whole process. And really what we're handing over is our resistance to what's happening. That's what we're truly trying to release, right? Like, I'm resisting this, I'm believing something about this. And what I hand over is whatever belief I have about this, or just the resistance to this even happening, right? Because if I can release that resistance, then I am stepping into trust of whatever is acceptance, and that's a distinction to be made.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's truly like, if we go back to, a miracle is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. So when we hand over the resistance, we're saying, I want to be of service. And right now I feel the blocks. Help me to be of maximal, service to me and my brother and to you. I mean, we're all one. So it's like just all of it. So yeah.
Yeah. And going back to that, like, it's not about me. It's not about the dog biting me or biting my husband or my partner, or right. It's we are instruments. It's like what you just said is like, I want to be of service means back into my real purpose. Like, what is my real purpose? And my real purpose is to be an instrument for the miracle. And I can't access that instrument right now, or the instrument's blocked, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think, I like you saying the instruments blocked. I think that's so beautiful because we're being done through. And, it talks about in the course that the call is always out there, and it's not that few are chosen. It's that few will remove the barriers to be done through, essentially, is what it's being stated. So it's because, it's like, we get caught up in some of the words of like find, remember, learn, all of that, but really it's all in there. Like, you need to unlearn, you need to let go, because it's like it's blocked, and it's just miracles are coming all the time, and it's up to you to like hand over whatever that block is so that they can flow through, because that's your natural state. Like, I love when David always is like, or not even David, did the course, how if you're not witnessing miracles, then something's gone awry. Like, that's not the exact quote, but essentially miracles are the constant flow. That's what that, like, when you are in flow, when you are in connection fully with Christ, that's all there is just like, you're just crapping miracles left and right, like everywhere.
Left and right,
Everywhere, up, down, all around, everywhere. Just miracles. Yeah. I'm reading
Yeah.
this book right now. That's another thing. Like, I'm seeing in everything, like what I watch, what I read, just all these synchronicities. And where the woman is at right now, she's about to get on an airplane, and everybody she sees has these synchronicities with her of people that have been a part of her life, but they're not anymore. And to me, I'm like, oh, she's like in a miracle mind right now, because she's seeing the interwovenness of it all. And it's just so beautiful to see that more and more in everything. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, and I love that we could have some sort of, like what you mentioned, David saying, like we could have some sort of barometer. I mean, I think joy is a barometer, right? Like of where we're at, of how much we're being the vessel, of how much we're actually practicing giving the miracle, right? Because one thing is to, understand that this is an illusion and understand the whole theory and feel the love with other Course in Miracle students and really get, get a sense of peace. But I think, like peace is the beginning. I mean, peace stays throughout, right? But it's like the beginning gift. And then I think as we go deeper and entrust our lives, devote our hearts, our minds to this path, which doesn't mean, going to a monastery or doing something specific in the form. It's literally a handing over of the everyday of whatever's showing up in however life looks right now for us. And we can go deeper with whatever is on the screen, right? Whatever is in the dream, right? It's for us. It is our script. So as we like surrender to that, as we give ourselves and devote ourselves in a new way to this life, and to our brothers and sisters, we begin to have the opportunities for miracles and for joy, right? And for following nudges. So that's where I feel like miracles and guidance are such a big part of expanding the heart, of living a devoted, mystical life, right? Guided by Jesus, guided by the Spirit, because you are not just, accepting things that are happening to you, but you are also following nudges. You are also being authentic and true to what no longer serves you, to what is in disaccord with this purpose, with you being this vessel, right? And in a loving way, not in a disparaging or escape way, denying. So yeah, it's important, I think, and that's why this video was so significant to me today, to remember how guidance is such a huge part of us remembering that we're not alone, that we are one with the Spirit, that we are taken care of, that miracles are our inheritance, and that we are here to give them. And as we give them, we receive them because we're all one, right? So it's like this never exhaustive fountain of love and forgiveness that we're giving consistently. And it just allows us to not only clean out the past, because to give the miracle is to not see the past, right? That is, one cannot be there with the other. But as we sort of clean out and unlearn, like you said, undo, we're making space to what is really true to us, true to this moment, right? Not us. It's better even to say true to the moment, like what is calling me? What am I being nudged towards? What is my highest excitement right now? And the Spirit uses that highest excitement to guide you towards your next miracles, towards your next set of healing, and it's easy to get stuck, I think, like in an understanding of the Course, and then not access that day-to-day joy, which I feel like is the gift that we've been given to actually access. So,
Well, I think it kind of like wraps around to how you started out talking about your worship yoga and like how and time and how spirit can use time to heal. And I think one of the biggest things like about like if we looked at your worship yoga at the form of time of the ego, the ego would believe over time, if you were doing what you need to and if it's actually purposeful, you would get more and more people into it and you would continue to grow it and you wouldn't give up on it, right? That's, I think, such a big piece of like following the guidance in the moment. And like the guidance in the next hour could be like, never have another worship yoga session again, and it already served its purpose. And to truly trust and surrender to that guidance is to
Shanti,
be
come here.
okay with that,
Shanti,
is to like
Shanti.
fully just like lean in. And I think right now we're in such a, I think the mind, a lot of what we see in society and stuff is about building legacy. It's about staying alive forever. It's about making your skin look young forever. It's really about this forward thinking and planning and all of that. And it really takes a lot to begin to unwind the mind and really just surrender. I mean, there's been so many moments. I started a business, and then, like you get like, it needs to get big and this and that, and, YouTube channel or this or that. But really where I'm at now is just like seeing how it serves its purpose. And until I feel guided back to it, which may never be, it served its purpose in the, the script is already written. So yeah, it reminds me like how you started the worship yoga. Like,
That's it.
I mean, that, like you feel guided today, but that doesn't mean you won't feel guided in 5 seconds a different way.
Yes. And that is freedom.
Yeah. Yes. True
That,
freedom.
that is true freedom. And you know what? Like if I'm to be honest, I still feel excited about it, right? Like I'm really, and I'm going to continue to follow that and let it unfold and make it available as it is. But like you said, tomorrow that could quickly just shift. And then having the courage and the trust to say, spirit knows. And if I want to truly be free and accept the miracle in my own mind, which will then bless everybody else, then I have to follow, and if we don't follow in that moment, we will get continuous invitations again and again to follow.
Don't worry.
we don't lose our opportunity. Like it's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that, but it is a consistent invitation to freedom.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's number 20 that you have posts up there. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. Because the only reason you would feel that you have to continue through with worship yoga if you don't feel guided is because you believe in Steph, the persona. You believe that the body of Steph has things that need to happen in a certain way, which is all based on the body, like, right. The body.
Yeah, the image, the responsibility now, or I built this already and people are counting on it and I just got to do it now. And it's not from a place of like,
or even like I feel like the ego uses inspiration against us, right? Like where it could be like, this was an inspired thought. Like, why would you stop? Like, you had inspiration to do this, right? So then you got to push through when times get tough, right? Like, that's such a statement. Like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You started this, now you have to finish this. Yeah. But that's the belief in linear time, that there is a beginning and an end. And
there's this is such a beautiful conversation. Because it's just like a consistent invitation to freedom, a consistent invitation to the unbecoming, right? To the healing of the mind, and using all the forms to then free us from the forms, right? Ultimately, and lead us back to the recognition of the true altar, which is the spirit. And yet having fun. Like, I think that's so important, like having fun in the midst of it all, like, let it be a playground, right? Like, okay, this is the next thing I'm excited about. Let me do this. Let me, let me witness whatever comes from this. And just flow, and always bring it back. That's been my practice. And that's what I can always bring it back to the true prayer of the heart. What do I truly want, right? This is what the whole course is about. And Mike and I always go into this, like, it's not about what do I want right now? Like that superficial want, like, what do I want right now? I don't know. I want ice cream right now. But even though that might be a guided decision, but I'm saying like a child who's already had a couple sweets and wants ice cream now, there's this, you know that there's a want, but there's a really an underlying need. That's what they really want. What they really want is the feeling that the ice cream would give them. And there's something else that actually fulfills that. And the ice cream doesn't absolutely do that. Right. And it's always sort of like, okay, what do I really yearn for ultimately? Yeah. And let my decision now be in alignment with that versus, yeah, like, oh, I just want to make I don't know, my sister happy. So I'm just going to go to the beach because that's where she wants to go now. So that's what I want right now. I just want to, feel better. And so I do that. But what do I really yearn for? I yearn for peace. I yearn to be accepted as I am. And so there's an opportunity there to tell my sister, you know what, you go to the beach. Today I'm feeling like staying home or doing my own readings. I love you. Have fun. Let me know how it goes. And that is those are small practical decisions in which we begin to really allow ourselves to be and to follow what we deeply yearn for, which gives us the opportunity for miracles. That's been my experience for sure.
Well, it's the freedom that you just talked about. Like you said, and have fun. Well, if you're truly free, you're having fun. Because because where we're trying to get back to is right. That full dependence on God. And if we think of that as ego terms and God is this guy, that's my dad, and I know he's going to make sure I have a roof over my head. He's going to feed me when I need to. He's going to do all these things. And I'm free to just do whatever I want, whenever I want, because I know God has it taken care of always. And I was having a conversation with some friends the other day about this. Like, what if right now God was your dad and you were a kid and you knew everything was taken care of? What would you actually be doing? Yeah. And one's like riding horse and other one's like painting. I'm like, okay, that's where the joy is. Lean into it. Go do it. Right? Like, because that's what we're seeking, is to do the things of inspiration that we only feel when we know everything else is handled, right? Because that's when the ego's chains have been released from the true decision making, the true vessel to guide through. And then it's playful. It's always playful. Like if you fully trusted that your bills would always be paid and your garbage would always be taken out and your dinner would always be made, and you're just fully present. You're never thinking about anything. You're just right here, right now. I know I'll be guided. I shall be guided.
That's beautiful. Hello. I'm sorry I'm late, Steph.
Don't worry, Laura. You don't have to excuse yourself. You can. Everybody's welcome to come in at whatever point in time. So always lovely to have you here.
But I came in right on time because I've been really struggling because my job, I work for the government and I can retire. I wanted to do my 10 years next year. I wanted to retire. So I'm waiting on to see if this president changes our pension package. So I know that I have to trust God, and there's part of me that trusts him, but I don't trust him 100%. So I'm being honest,
Yeah, and that's important. Yeah.
A lot of people.
Well, you don't trust your brother's ego. Your brother's ego is not your brother.
Oh, I think she's talking about God, right? Or you talking?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about God. Yeah,
right, not the president.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about God because, and I'm struggling with, when will I know it's the right time? So every day I ask God, show me when is the right time, because I don't want to lose my medical when I go into retirement. And that's making me crazy because I don't know what I should do, and I have a fear of if I do it now, I won't be able to take care of myself. What if I'm alone and nobody's paying my bills and, I have no one else I can depend on, blah, blah, blah. I go through all of that. So, I know that God is always there and he's always taking care of me. I know that for sure. But when you're going through that battle, it's hard to, so I just.
Well, that's exactly what Ash is talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you said. I came in right on time. Yeah. Yeah.
That's called.
Thank you, Ash. I resonated with that. Yeah, I resonated with that. I was like, wow, that's just what I needed to hear.
Mm.
Even though it's good to hear, I still have to really trust that, that he will let me know when it's time to do what I need to do. And if not, he will work it out regardless. And I know that,
Mm.
but just in this moment, I don't know that, if that makes
Mm.
sense. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm. I don't know, like, I'm so grateful that it resonated. And I mean, it's like so much easier said than done, right? Like talking about
Yeah,
these things. So, I mean, for me, Lori, that's just when I continuously do what you're doing, go deeper into prayer. And every moment I catch my mind with, because you talked about should, like you're shoulding all over yourself.
yeah,
Um, and my one of my favorite quotes from the course is need do nothing. So the moment you feel like you need to do anything, at least for me, is
yes,
a moment I need to get my ass into prayer. I need to go back to who I am believing and knowing is guiding me and will always take care of me. And I even like think of moments in the past that I thought for sure something was going to go a certain way, and it turned out so completely different that I could have ever
yeah,
imagined. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Prayer.
I love what you said, Lori. You even spoke the word regardless. I think that that word has so much power, because what you're saying there is like, yeah, I'm believing you. You said a whole bunch of scenarios that sound really dreadful, of course, that we all go there when things are about to change, when something that we've been counting on that we believe gives us support, that we believe, is our strength and our safety, right? When that gets questioned, when where our safety lies gets questioned, then a lot of the ego really tries to come up, because it is the belief in lack of safety and
yes, yeah,
lack of strength
yeah,
of and so all of those things will flash up, and that's okay, because that's what we're meant to look at. But the power of the word regardless, at the end you said, it's like, I'm praying that, because you may be praying for a specific result. And what you're really praying
yeah,
for is for God to show you that you're taken care of. And the
yes, yes,
result,
yes, yes,
right? And it doesn't matter what
yes,
the result
yes,
is, because our
yes,
mind is
yes.
limited to see the massive amount of possible results that can bless us. Right? Spirit has the
Yeah,
vision to see
yes,
beyond all timelines, all universes, all metaverses, and really give us whatever is most helpful, most gentle, most needed for where we are, for what our heart is truly calling for. And sometimes our
right.
heart is truly calling for to rest in a place where we doubt, right? And so that is the invitation here. And yes, it's going to be scary. And it's kind of like when I tell my daughter when she gets hurt and she's like, I got hurt. And she looks blood. And then, okay. And then I'm like, okay, I see it. You're hurt. You have blood. Because it's right now, it's like the shock. This is happening to me. And then what I try to tell her is like, okay, now you're going to tell myself. And then like she worries already. Oh my God, when I'm going to take a shower, it's going to burn. Like she's already into the
Yeah,
future
yeah,
and worrying. And now it's making her cry more because she's thinking about the burn
like
in
a
the
few, yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. This is what's happening in her mind. And I tell her, okay, I want you to we're going to say that, or say it with me. I have a boo-boo. She's like, I have a boo-boo. Right? It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. She just goes. And so now it's like, oh, this is happening. This is what's happening. Now I'm not in resistance to what's happening. This is what's happening. And so I have a boo-boo. It hurts a lot. It's bleeding. It might bleed a little more. It might not. It might burn when I get into the shower. It might not. But I'm prepared now for what may come, and I'm open, right? Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. And so she's like, okay. And even if she's, it brings her into what's actually happening and not the stories, all the stories that the mind, which is the ego,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
takes us
yeah,
to, right? Which then really trap us, and don't allow us to see the moment that's in front of us. Don't allow
yeah,
us to reach the miracle the next conversation that can open, right? Like, because we're so blocked in the mind to the story that's what's happening. So yes, back to what Ash says, prayer is a call to prayer, to releasing, to noticing what's happening, but ultimately to know the meaning of regardless, like you said, regardless, right, of what happens. I deeply know that I am taken care of.
Well, as you're saying that, I just feel really emotional because, Holy Spirit brought up in me, I'm really, really afraid. I come across as so strong and so resilient, and I am resilient, but I'm just a little girl that's so afraid.
We all have the little girl who's so afraid, the little boy who's so afraid. And then we have the Christ child in us who knows all innocence and joy. And that is what we are, that is what we're coming to discover, right? Coming to know the truth about ourselves as we see, as we look at, like Mike says, right? You have to look at it to overlook it, like the Course says. You have to look at that scared little girl and contain it. You have the power to contain her, just like God contains you. Right? It's we do it for ourselves, but ultimately we're just the channels of what God is doing through us. And like we do it for someone else, we hold the miracle and see the Christ in them. We are included in that. Our mind is inclusive. Yeah. Is my thing going slow? Are you guys seeing that? Is this just me?
No,
The
it
internet? No?
seems all right.
Okay,
No,
okay. I thought it was lagging. It sometimes shows a little lagging. I hadn't seen that before. Okay.
it's probably the internet at your place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but beautiful that you come on and then you're sharing what's truly burning, right? Like what's very active right now, the doubts that are coming up, and the true desire that you're really seeking. All of this is a call, right?
Yeah.
To really know safety, to really hand over. But prayer is one way to align. Another way to align is to meet mighty companions and walk together and
I'm
talk
so
together.
grateful for these. Yeah, I'm so grateful for these groups. I don't know what I would do. I've just grown so much. I mean, it doesn't seem like I've grown very much, but I'm inching little by little. And then it's like every time you feel at peace, then something comes up. Like yesterday, I was at work. I said on the group yesterday, and we were having a discussion about people were talking about, if this happens, we've got an option to leave the job, blah 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 blah. And somebody went and told one of the people in the office that I said they were leaving, which I never said. And it really bothered me. I'm like, why did they pick me out? And I started to get upset about it. And I said, thank you, Holy Spirit, for bringing this to my attention, for showing me, and also for showing me myself in that person. I'm not saying doesn't keep running through my mind, but I'm not going deep like I used to go. So it hurts that somebody would go say that, which is not what I even said. But, it's a lesson.
Yeah, and it
It's,
goes to show us that we're all interpreting our world, right?
yeah,
We're all fragments of a one mind, and each fragment is literally fragmented because it doesn't think as one.
yeah.
Right? Like that's what it's appearing separately because of all the beliefs that we individually seemingly have. And so what one person is going to observe is going to be a completely different truth to what you're observing and what you, let's say, know to be true in that moment. And it just goes to show that ultimately all of these stories are not a true story. Even your story, like we're trying to go beyond the stories,
Yeah.
we all, to the truth, to the light within us, beyond the body. And it just goes to show the belief in attack, right? Like this person picked me
Yeah.
out of everything. Like, why am I being the one sort of attacked in this way? And these are all just invitations to look at, like, why do I even believe that, like, this is an attack on me? Why?
Well, because I always felt like an outsider. I've always felt like I don't
Exactly
fit into the
right.
group. So I'm
Right.
like, it was just an example of me not fitting into the group, then singling me out. And that's just a story of my life, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was just an example.
Yeah. And it's a reflection of that belief. And
Right.
but it doesn't make it true. It's just in a reflection of that belief so that we can do what with it. That is the invitation. It has nothing to do with like what's happening and what she said and what, no. And Lori, you're seeing it. You're seeing it. You're looking at it beyond just what's actually in the workplace. You're looking at it from a place of like, okay, Holy Spirit, I see that you're showing me something here. And just that willingness to see it differently is all that's needed. You're doing it. And you're
Yeah,
showing
thank
up.
you.
You're doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
You're
It's not
watching
easy,
your
but
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's going to be worth it in the end,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, and
No.
it's in the end, we're coming again, like just to circle back. I know we're coming up on the hour too, like to circle back. This is really bringing us to a present trust. All
Yes.
invitations to trust what is right now, what is showing up right now. And if we are in a state of present trust, which is the consistent invitation to be the miracle worker, then we can receive what is given to us by the Spirit. We can receive the guidance. We can receive the peace. Even if ultimately we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen to our story, right? What's going to happen to our career, our new project. That's not our concern. Our concern is right here, right? Like it's that forgiveness, that radical acceptance to what is, so that I can enter the now and be the vessel that I need to be, like Ash was saying, right?
Actually, start off the CD.
To be the vessel in this moment. And that vessel not only gives, but receives, right? The vessel pours out, but it only pours out because it's being poured through. And that's the guidance. So there's like this, poured through, pour out. Receive the miracle, give the miracle. Receive the forgiveness, give the forgiveness. It's like this beautiful thing that just happens when we are open to the moment. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
and it frees us. It's back to freedom, right? It frees us from all these other things. The more we focus in, we hone in on this moment and what's showing up in front of me now. What lesson, what miracle can I give now? What lesson is being given to me now? Like, just, this is all for me, right? It's the school, the course. What's the new lesson in the course now, in this moment? Yeah. So if anybody else has something to share or something on heart, this would be the moment. And I feel we can leave the reading up to there, connecting the true meaning of miracles and the role of Jesus and the Spirit in being the atonement and the miracle, guiding the miracles as we move along in life. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. It was beautiful. The little bit that I heard.
Yeah, that's it. And
Thank you.
that's when divine timing. I
Yeah.
love it, actually. I can't, I love it when people come in a little like in the middle and then they're just like, oh my God, this is what I needed. Because
What I
it's not
needed,
about
yeah.
being late and these standards. Like, I want this space to break away from these standards. This is not, of course, if you can come in early and join and that's what you feel, beautiful, but do not hold back from joining at any point in time because,
Okay.
we consider ourselves late. there's no late in the eyes of the spirit. So yeah,
And that's
there's
good for
only
me because
now.
I'm breaking that habit. I'm very methodical. I do everything the same way. You know, if I watch a TV series and I don't like it, I have to finish it to the end. I always finish stuff. So I feel like I've got to be on the time. I'm always on before time. I felt so guilty and not being. I was like, I'm gonna have to text her and tell her. That's just me. So that's something I gotta work on.
Well, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Thank you,
space for
everybody.
guilt. No need for it here. Only love.
Have a
Only love.
yeah, it is.
All
Have a
right. Love you
beautiful day.
all.
Love you
Mhm.
all. I'm getting my gym on.
Beautiful.
Tighten up the
You be the miracle worker you are at that gym, wherever we
yes, I
are.
will. Yes, I
Shine
am.
your
Yes,
light,
I
my
am.
friends. Love you.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you
Love
for
you all.
joining.
Okay.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.